Talking to Frank Gaffney. He's the president and founder of the Center for Security Policy. The website again is what, Frank?
Muslim Brotherhood in America.com.
And so the Center for Security Policy, you're responsible for that website. Okay. Is that what you're saying? You guys put that up? Okay.
We put this course together. The mothership's website is securefreedom.com, but the course, and I offer a money-back guarantee. I can do that because it's a free course. But you'll take this course. I promise you, you will be one of the most knowledgeable people in America about the problem we're discussing here today, and the problem that, quite honestly, will afflict this country, our children, and probably our children's children, if we don't get this right, in ever more serious ways. So I think we all have a powerful vested interest in learning about this problem, and MuslimBrotherhoodAmerica.com is one of the resources available.
Ed, if I can try to answer your question in part two, Frank did an excellent job. Not much more I can add, but two thoughts on this. That is, I think political correctness it kills a factual analysis of situations. You have political correctness. With political correctness, you often come to a point where you have to intentionally deny reality, and that now
in order not to offend somebody.
In order for what you would say in your mind is a greater good.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of this. This is what I believe. This is part of political correctness. You mentioned the killing at Fort Hood.
Right.
What was the fellow's name?
Nidal Hassan. Is that right?
Okay.
Frank?
Okay. Clearly, he yelled out that Arabic expression.
Allahu Akbar.
He yelled it out as he was mowing down the people there on the base. He was a known Islamist. He was an Islamic jihadist. That was what motivated him to kill those people. All right? He wasn't crazy. He
wasn't a disgruntled employee.
No, it wasn't workplace violence. Well, I'll give you. So here's what happens. Everybody knows that, and in fact, the reason he wasn't reported earlier, or anything was done about him leading up to the point when he committed those acts of terror on our base out there at Fort Hood, is because he was a Muslim. Nobody wanted to report him because they didn't want to be called a bigot.
Right.
That was what led up to the whole thing. Well, this Defense Department report, that those people who put together this report at the Pentagon, they know everything we know.
Right.
They know that he was an Islamic jihadist.
But they self-censored.
This is what I mean by political correctness requires you to deny reality. You have to say, we know that's true, but the greater good here is not to offend Muslims, so we need to change what happened here to reflect our goodwill toward Muslims rather than the facts, to borrow from Sergeant Friday, just the facts, ma'am.
Right.
Okay? So that's what political correctness does. I think that's also, back to Benghazi for just a moment, political correctness led whoever changed the CIA report at the White House to spin it to the world that it was an anti-Islamic videotape, what would cause the murders of these Americans. That was also political correctness. They were motivated by political correctness. In addition to protecting the president, I think, and his agenda, I think they thought, well, we don't want to make Muslims feel bad, so we don't want to report the true facts of the story, that is Al-Qaeda, who is a Islamic terrorist organization, so we changed the story. Again, political correctness causes you to deny reality. So I think that's in addition to what Frank said, or maybe to go along with what Frank said, I think that in part at least answers the question. But that's dangerous, Frank. That's what you're saying. Political correctness leads to death.
Yeah, Tim, I think I agree with just about everything you said. One small clarification is there were people who were in the classes that Nidal Hassan was taking who actually reported to their superiors that what he was talking about was jihadism, that he was a threat. And it was not just, I think, political correctness that was at work here. It was the very direct order from their superiors to cease and desist, that this would be very bad for their careers if they persisted in raising these kinds of concerns. This is part of what will come out in the trial if it ever happens. Here we are 3 years later, and this guy still has not gotten, a day in court, let alone brought to justice. I mean, day in court in terms of the trial. But the larger point is this, and it goes really, I think, to the crux of what you're saying, Tim. We can call it political correctness. We can call it multiculturalism. We can call it sensitivity to diversity or anything else. What our enemies, these Islamists, that think of it as, is submission. And that's what they're all about. As you know, the literal meaning of the word Islam is submission. They are, they believe, directed by their God to make us feel subdued. And the trouble is, under their doctrine of Sharia, this comprehensive, totalitarian, oppressive regimen that they believe they must impose worldwide, under Sharia, if they see the enemy, the infidel, most especially, submitting, well, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to redouble the effort. So far from making this problem go away or become less threatening or less, downright perilous, we're actually making it much, much more likely that we will experience violent jihad, and here at home, not just elsewhere.
We another aspect of this is Americans don't like to generalize.
Right.
We don't like to do that, and I think that's an appropriate approach to take. We don't like to generalize. Well, when you talk about Islam and jihadism, you start seeing all these people around the world, acts of terrorism committed by who? Not Swedes. It's not whacked out Lutherans.
Right.
It's always the Islamic jihadist, 99% of the time. So you can't help but generalize. You can't help but, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we reject the Western thought process is we can't generalize. That goes against the American way, and so we're conflicted about how to handle this. So we just, we don't know. We see the obvious, but we don't want to say the obvious because the obvious, hurts people's feelings.
Yeah, and the genius of the Muslim Brotherhood and why we've drilled down on this in this course is they understand that we respect religious freedom, and they understand that they can shame us.
They use it against us.
Absolutely.
Hey, Frank, we didn't even get to the topics we wanted to talk to you about. We'll reschedule you maybe for next week, okay?
Good. Anytime. I'm at your disposal.
Frank Gaffney, our guest, president and founder of the Center for Security Policy. Ed Battagliano with me today. I'm Tim Wildman. Thank you for joining us.